Welcome back to Post Media's weekly Senators panel. I'm Bruce Garriock with Don Brennan, and our special guest this week is Steve Lloyd from TSN 1200 with Ken Warren on the road. Guys, the first 10 games of the season are in the book, and the Senators will wrap up this month against the Arizona Coyotes Tuesday night. Don, what are your thoughts on the first 10 games here?
They've won 4 of them. I'm surprised at that. They've showed some good stuff. They've showed some speed. They've showed a good work ethic. And again, I didn't think they'd have 4 wins by this stage of the game. There's still a lot of questions to be answered, but it's been slightly entertaining.
What an endorsement. It's been slightly entertaining. Yeah. I don't know if I'm too surprised. I thought they'd be more competitive. How could you not be? The way that last season ended. And I think that the coaching staff, it's easier to have everybody's attention when things went as poorly as it did as last season. So I'm not surprised that they're more competitive, but I'm kind of with Don. 4 wins, 500 team here as we're 10 games in. Maybe slightly surprised.
One of the things I wondered, you guys, is if these guys, and it's still a long lot of racetrack left, if they would get 30 wins this season, because they didn't last year when they had Erik Karlsson. But I look at it now, the first month of the season, one of the key words that we hear from General Manager Pierre Dorion all the time is about progression. And have we seen progression in the first month of the season? I guess that's the next question.
Well, I think we've seen it in home games. They're a better team at home, obviously, right, than they are on the road. They're getting overmatched on the road when they're playing against the big guns from other teams. We saw it in Colorado. We saw it in Vegas.
Columbus Day in Boston.
We saw it in Boston. It's they just don't have enough experience to play against the top players on other teams unless you get to select the guys that you want on the ice. So progression, I don't know. I mean, no, I don't know that we've seen a lot of progression right now. How can you say that we have?
Well, I think right away we were like Max Lajoie, what a revelation he was to start the season, right? And Brady Tkachuk, when he got healthy, wow, he was playing well. And I know we'll probably get into Alex Formenton as well. But, early in the year we saw the young players step up and play some meaningful minutes and play well. So progression since then, though, maybe has it plateaued early that way with some of these younger players and some of the success that they were having. It's early, but, the overall point is they're more competitive. They're more fun to watch right now. Craig Anderson stole the last point for them, and they're going to need more of that.
Well, let's go to, because you brought up Alex Formenton, let's go there next. There's a lot of discussion about his future. Pierre Dorion addressed reporters Monday in Arizona. He didn't sound too confident that Alex Formenton was going to stay here. Don, his ice time in Vegas was way down. One of the things they said was that they were going to give the young players the opportunity. Where do you think they should go with him right now?
Well, I think they, obviously they like his speed. They talk about his speed being NHL elite level. Maybe Steve Lloyd mentioned that on the radio this morning. But I think that they also like the way he plays without the puck. To me, here's a guy that needs to be productive. He needs to score a little bit. He needs to factor in on the offense in order to stay around. It's not happening. I don't think that now. And we talked about it a couple of shows ago. Yeah. And I thought I was all for keeping him around a little bit longer, but he's not, he's got 2 more games. Is it 2 more games? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't think unless he starts to score a little bit or factor in the offense, are they going to keep him around?
He needs to play more. And every time Guy Boucher speaks about this player, he gushes about him. He loves the guy. But then you look at the stat sheet, and he's playing around 10 minutes. I think he's averaging around 11 minutes a game here. And sometimes he's not even getting 10 minutes of ice time a game. And he's 19 years old. So if that's going to continue, then it's easy to say it might be a better idea to put him back in junior hockey. But I don't know. I like the player. I think he can play in the NHL. I think maybe he should get some more minutes. But if the coach isn't going to play them, then what are you going to do? He has to go back to junior.
I think, and let me just add one thing, Don. I think sometimes we get too caught up in that 9-game mark, though, and the 9-game mark is Thursday against the Buffalo Sabres. That's only a waiver mark, okay? The real mark to me is the 40-game mark, because then you lose a year of eligibility for unrestricted free agency. So maybe, I don't know, Donna, you were going to chime in. Do you think maybe they shouldn't rush into this decision right now and maybe give it another month?
I just wonder what's going to happen to the kid if they send him back down. He was stuck around a little bit last year.
1 game.
A little bit.
Well, he played. Okay, yeah, he played 1 game.
But he stayed a month. But
right.
He played a game.
Yeah.
And I think that this year he believes that he's going to be here. And I think, just put yourself in a guy's shoes. How terribly disappointing would it be after getting a taste of the NHL life, and he's out in Vegas and Colorado, Arizona, he's been to Boston, and playing at this level, and to go back and play with the junior kids. I mean, I don't know. To me, I would be terribly disappointed, and I'd have a hard time getting motivated.
Well, but Bruce, to your point too, there's a difference between that threshold. It's his entry-level contract will kick in,
Yes.
and he'll burn 1 year of his 3-year entry-level deal if he stays, 3 more games, right? But it's the 40-game mark. That's the accrued NHL season, and that gets you closer to unrestricted free agency. And a lot of teams value that more than the other. Like when Colin White signed, came out of college, he had to burn a year. And they knew that going in, and that's how they got him to do it. Christian Wolanin, same deal last year as well. Is that the end of the world to them? No, they like the player. They want to get the player into their organization. So I think you're right, Bruce. I think sometimes we kind of fall in love with, oh no, it's the old, that 9-game threshold mark. Some teams value that differently than others. And usually that's more about a cap crunch on a team that's going to be very competitive in the near future, and you want to keep that salary lower as long as you can. Do you see the Ottawa Senators winning the Stanley Cup in the next couple of years?
No.
Okay, so maybe you keep them around and you extend the audition.
Well, one of the other big decisions that has to be made, and it could happen as early as Tuesday night, is Craig Anderson, guys, is coming off a 50-save performance against the Vegas Golden Knights Sunday night. There's been lots of talk about when Mike Condon was going to play again. He's not played since October 10th, I believe it was, in Boston. Do you have to get Mike Condon back in there Tuesday night against the Arizona Coyotes? Or do you sit on this one for a while now that Craig Anderson has played well?
I think that over his career in Ottawa, at least, we've seen Craig Anderson break down at various points of the season. He's had difficulty with injury, and I think as a 37-year-old, you're just asking for trouble if you continue to run him out there, especially after a game in which he faced 53 shots, 97 shot attempts. I mean, you don't have to stop every shot, but if there's a shot attempt, 97 times, you're on your toes, you're moving. I think I'm guessing that Craig Anderson is pretty tired after that game. Hey, you're going to need Mike Condon at some point. Every team needs a backup goalie, a guy to take some of the load. Why not play him against Arizona?
Well, if not Arizona, then I think tomorrow or when they play Arizona, they're going to have 4 and 6, and with travel coming back from 3 time zones away, they're going to need somebody else to play goal. And Mike Condon's coming off a bad year. Take a number. A lot of guys did. It's very important for him to start to play well soon when he gets his next opportunity. They're going to need another guy.
Well, and that speaks to the next subject is they are giving up. They're second worst in the league at giving up shots. They're giving up an average of 37.5 shots a game, second only to Anaheim. That's given up 39. That's an area they have to improve if they're actually going to win some games, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's you can't keep getting filled in on shot attempts and actual shots on goal and expect that to continue. Like, you don't need to delve into the advanced stats to understand that. But if you've noticed all the comments from the coaching staff and the organization, it's all about being positive, right? It's a rebuild. It's the young kids. It's positive, positive, positive. You're not seeing too much heavy critique coming from whether it's the coach, whether it's the GM, or anybody around the organization. They know where they are right now. But if you expect this team to be competitive, be a playoff team, and make some noise this year, nobody's going to come out and say you're giving up on the season, and they're not, and you shouldn't. But I hate this saying, but it is what it is, and you're going to see these speed bumps along the way. You're going to be impressed some nights, and some nights you're going to see the youth and the rebuild that they're in right now.
I guess we should actually, to go back a little bit, be surprised that they have won 4 games. If you think about it, I mean, if they're giving up more than 37 shots a game. They're averaging 28 shots a game. They're being outplayed territorially, and they're, I think, lucky to be it. But do they really believe that they're going to make the playoffs this year? I mean, was that the whole point? I think, to go back to what we were saying.
Hoped.
Yeah. And you play every game. If you're a professional, you're playing every game to try to win.
Yeah.
Whatever. But progression. That's what they're talking about. They don't go into the season thinking, okay, we're going to add. Are they going to be a buyer at the trade deadline? Of course not.
To me, that's the biggest difference for me. Rebuild, all that means is you're going to give opportunities to some of the younger players in your organization. You're going to stick with them through some situations where maybe if you're a more competitive team and higher aspirations, maybe matchups matter more and all that. And you're not going to be buying. It's not a go-for-it year. That's what a rebuild is. And listen, if you catch lightning in a bottle, it's like, wow, we're better than we thought we were. I still don't think you get to the deadline and you buy. You stay the course.
And a younger player may get an opportunity Tuesday in Arizona is Christian Wolanin, because Mark Borowiecki may be suspended for that game. He has a hearing Monday for his hit on Cody Eakin. Mark Borowiecki right now is on the radar screen, guys. He's put himself on the radar screen. Number one, should he be suspended for that hit? And is everything reviewable now?
Lloydie, what is he supposed to do in that situation? He went to play the body. You're allowed to hit in the NHL. I mean, again, we've talked about this countless times, but the player has to bear some of the responsibility. The guy has to have his head up. Mark Borowiecki went in to take out his player. He made a check. Was he headhunting? I don't think he was headhunting. Mark Borowiecki isn't that kind of a player. He went and took the body, and now he's in trouble again. I guess you got to start eliminating hitting from this game.
Well, I look at it on two tracks. On the one side, I agree with you. You know, it's a contact sport. Sometimes things happen. It's unfortunate. Gerard Gallant went to bat for Mark Borowiecki in his post-game comments and saying he's not a dirty player. I don't think he was trying to do that, but he did get him in the head. And that's the thing. Where's the NHL going? Where's the NFL going? Where are contact sports going right now? To me, it's follow the money. You're going to get to a point where it's going to be tougher and tougher to insure contracts. There's litigation going on with head injuries. Like, that's what's driving this more so. Like, leagues can talk about player safety. Come on. You know, change only happens when financially you're motivated to make change. And I think that's what's going on. So you're going to see the NHL, the NFL continue down this track here, and I think you're going to get to the point where Ken Dryden's been beating this drum for a while now, that it's going to be kind of a black and white thing. I know you didn't mean to do it. It's kind of like high staking. I know you tried to lift a stick and you missed him and you cut him. Sorry, it's 4 minutes. It's black and white. I know you tried to hit him clean, but you did hit him in the head. I'm sorry. There's going to be some discipline. You're getting kicked out of this game. I agree with you, Donnie, but I think the financial component and the health and the players, I think that's what's driving this.
And the issue Borowiecki's battling here, Don and Steve, is that the timing. I mean, the timing is he's coming off a
first
suspension.
game back.
The only thing I think the only thing where I think he might catch a bit of a break is that he was thrown out of that game 5 minutes into the game, so he's already missed a game as a result of this. So that might spell into into a suspension. The other thing I think we have to look at before we wrap up here is they don't have Borowiecki. They won't have Zach Smith for a month. They lose Zach Smith for a month. That's a lot of grit out of their lineup.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not going to say next man up, but you want to see and bring up some of these kids from Belleville, whoever is.
Unfortunately, they're banged up there. Shalapik's hurt. Brown's
hurt. Exactly. But I mean, you know, you're going to need guys to provide that grit down the road. If Borowiecki isn't here in a couple of years, Zach Smith isn't here, I want to know what kind of guys can fill that kind of role. Do you know who in Belleville can play that style of play?
Right now, with that kind of cultivating that kind of player, I mean, at the NHL level, and he's kind of fringe right now. It's Max McCormick, and he's the bottom of your lineup kind of a player. But you're like, the game is different. You don't need as much of that, but I agree. You still need it.
Yep.
It's still at the NHL level. Intimidation still matters.
Well, intimidation still matters, and we've got a lot of sandpaper on this panel. For Post Media, I'm Bruce Garriock with Don Brennan and our special guest, Steve Lloyd of TSN 1200. Thanks for watching.